and you're a nobody. Nobody even knows who you are. I don't need therapy. I self-therapize. And I self-therapize with anger because anger makes me brave. And my bravery has allowed me to grab demons by the neck. People say to me, oh, I have anxiety. And they talk about it like it's a bad thing. Like this anxiety demon has come into his life and ruined his life. You have anxiety over stupid shit. Keep your anxiety demon, and now have anxiety that you're not rich. Get to the point where you can't sit still and watch Netflix and eat ice cream because you are too anxious about the fact that you don't have $100 million. You might start doing some work. Oh, I have depression. Great, fantastic. I'm glad you have depression because you won't feel depressed on a yacht with 20 supermodels, 300 million in the bank, and a Bugatti waiting for you in the marina. Then you won't feel depressed. So it's a good thing you have depression because you don't have those things, and now you have to get them to feel better, so get to work. I have OCD. You have OCD over dumb shit like arranging your Star Wars figurines like a fucking child. You should have OCD about getting your life in order, about being in the gym on time, about training harder than everyone around you, about getting some money in your bank. You don't have to get rid of these conditions. I would argue that Elon, the man who's putting rockets into space, probably has OCD. That's how he managed to get a rocket into space. And you're saying your OCD prevents you from fucking washing the dishes because you're a fuck up and you are a failure. Get out of therapy. I publicly state that I have anxiety. I have governments try to kill me, getting thrown in and out of jail at random, all of my assets seized, 10 girlfriends complaining, 9 baby mamas, my Jesco's broken, my private jet was clicking on the way here making a strange noise. I know they're trying to kill me anyway. I have anxiety, but I use my anxiety so that I wake up at 6:15 a.m. instantly enraged, getting to work so I win. I grabbed the demon of anxiety by his fucking neck and added him to my legion. He works for me. You have dulled your sword, so you have nothing to threaten the demons with, because you're too busy sitting around in therapy like a little girl. When anxiety turns up, you cower before it with your little weak, dull sword. I pull my blade and say, you now work for me. By force. I have depression. I have OCD. I have all of it. These demons work for me. I am the leader. They are my army. That is how I've conquered the world. If you're at home complaining, I have OCD, I have anxiety, I have depression, you need to get these demons in check. They are your weapons against mediocrity. Therapists will never tell you that. A therapist will say, oh, we have to get rid of your anxiety. We have to get rid of your anxiety. Just bend over and spread your butt cheeks. We're going to get rid of your anxiety. It's not a perfect world. It's a world of war and endless combat and chaos. My legion of darkness is made up of monsters because monsters fight monsters. I can only beat my enemies because of all my flaws, because of all my conditions, because of everything that's wrong with me. There's things wrong with me, supposedly, but all of those things work for me. And it seems that whenever I direct my chi at any task, even escaping the highest level matrix setup in the most corrupt country on the map, I somehow managed to pull it off. You think I got out of this Romanian bullshit situation with luck? You think I got out of it with law? You think I just sat around and the law helped me, or I was lucky? I woke up 4 or 5 times a night. I could not sleep. When you wake up and you cannot sleep, you know what you do? You lay in bed and cry like a baby. You lay in bed, wah, wah. I can't sleep like a fucking baby. The second I couldn't sleep, I was up, training, working, reading the Romanian law, learning a new language, finding Aikido, the European Court of Human Rights, endless Aikido, new legal teams, new money, new ways to combat their narratives, fighting the BBC, preparing for interviews, endless sets, endless reps, anxiety, OCD, fucking depression, everything. That's how I won. You can blink and cure your brain. You can say, I'm going to work really hard. And you know what? I'm not going to hate it. I'm not going to be stressed. And I'm not going to be bored. I'm going to love it. I'm going to love this work. I'm going to sit down for 12 hours and have the best time of my life working as hard as possible because I have decided I'm going to blink and cure my mind, and I am going to enjoy the next 12 hours of focused work. And guess what? You'll work better than ever before.
I was afraid, and I used that fear to train as hard as possible. And you can apply that to life as a whole. You need to use the fear of being mediocre and use it to make you try as hard as possible. The reason with most mediocre people is they don't have a fear of being mediocre. They've listened to the matrix programming and they've been convinced that being mediocre is absolutely fine. It's fine to not be that successful. You know what? All our graves are the same size. Doesn't matter what you achieve in your life. Doop-de-doo, dumpty-dum. This is the slave mind, and I refuse to accept it. I do not accept that. I accept I'm an exceptional individual, and I deserve an exceptional experience of the human consciousness, and that's what I'm going to fucking have. And it doesn't matter if I have to do it myself. That's fine, because no one else is going to do it for me. So yeah, there has to be a healthy fear. If you're genuinely scared and genuinely uncomfortable in a certain situation, you're going to move. If you fall asleep on your arm and it gets uncomfortable, you'll wake your ass up and move your arm. But if you're comfortable, you're not going to. So when I see somebody who's sitting in a rut and they've been in a rut for a long time, they're obviously, maybe, a couple times a week they're pissed off with the rut, when they got a bill they can't pay or whatever, and they'll message you going, I really need to get out, I've got to change my life, bro. But the second things aren't that bad, they're back to playing video games. So you're only uncomfortable 2 days a week. For 5 days a week, you're fine being a fucking loser. And that's why you're still a loser. When I had no money, James, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep a single night. I couldn't sleep. Where's my money? People have Lamborghinis. I ain't got one. I couldn't tolerate the pain in my mind. People don't have that drive. If you're not afraid of being a dumbass, you're going to stay a dumbass. That's it. You need fear. This is important, especially if you are at home and you're not yet as successful as you want to be, if you don't have your life in exactly the place you want it, if you still feel trapped, whether it's financially or some other way. After the disappointment, swallow the disappointment. Take a minute and look around you and say, I deserve more than this. But then, what's the important point? You must begin to work instantly. Say depression isn't real. I said feeling depressed is real. But the idea that depression is going to strike you in your mind and there's nothing you can do about it, I think that is promoting helplessness amongst depressed people, and that's the reason they kill themselves. I don't think that making people helpless in an unfortunate situation is the great thing to do. You have to give people hope. And I explain that when you believe in something, you give it power. So I tried to say that when I felt at my lowest and I achieved the most I've ever achieved in my life, the reason I was capable of doing that is because I didn't believe in the paradigm of being a depressed person. I just believe that this is how I currently feel, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my life to be better. And I gave a very simple example, an analogy. I said, if you take two people, one believes in ghosts and one doesn't, and you put them both in haunted houses, and in the middle of the night there's a bang. The person who believes in ghosts is now terrified. There's a ghost, they're calling an exorcist, they're panicking in the room, they're hiding. The person who doesn't believe in ghosts goes wind and goes back to sleep. It's the same noise, it's the same scenario, but it's the belief in their mind that terror and ruins their life. It's the belief in their mind that turns against them. And I've said this many times. I don't even give a shit about right and wrong. You can tell me you can give me with every scientific proof in the world, depression, I refuse to believe in things that take my power away. I'm only going to construct a mental model that allows me to be as powerful as possible. If believing in the idea of depression is going to take my own power away, then I won't believe in it. I don't want to believe in things that make me weak. I believe in things that make me strong. And someone goes, well, you're wrong. Listen, let's assume you're correct and that makes me wrong. Let's say that you're right and you're depressed. Why would I want to adopt the thinking of a man who is sad? Why would I want to think like you? Wouldn't it better to be wrong and be happy and have a sports car and a yacht and a private jet? You want to talk about right? Look at your life. I don't talk about right and wrong. Let's talk about success and results. I don't believe in things that take power. I never have. So when people email me and they start saying, I'm depressed. And what's funny is this. I talk to them and they desperately defend the idea of depression. I'm like, my friend, you just told me you're too depressed to be successful and depression has destroyed your life and you lost your girl. I'm telling you that the enemy in your life isn't real. And you're now sending me 10 emails a week trying to convince me that your enemy is a real thing.
Why are you sticking up for this person, whatever it is, this idea destroyed you, and you're putting your energy into defending it? You should be on my team. Whose team are you on here? You want to sit here and convince me? I'm never going to believe you. I'm never going to adopt your thinking because your life is not successful enough for me to emulate. So why don't you try to adopt my way of thinking? Stop defending this. And they're defending it because it's a cure-all excuse. Depression or sadness is a cure-all excuse for men to use for failure. I have failed. This is why they say I don't believe in men's mental health, or the man who's depressed can't compete with the man who's not depressed. This quote. I say, listen, you get to roll out, be fat, be out of shape, be broke, be unimportant with no girlfriend. And instead of the world thinking you're a loser, you get to say, I'm not a loser, I'm depressed. It's a shield. Yeah. And I say, that's why you don't want to lose your shield. Because now you have accountability, now you have performance. It's a cop out. Fuck it off. I don't give a shit if it's real or not. We're not about that. We're talking about success here. Get rid of your excuses, stop defending the thing that's ruined your life, and get to fucking work. And every time anyone has ever listened to me in history, ever, every single one of them's transformed their lives and messaged me positive messages after. Every single time. That's why I'm antidepressant. Because that pill ain't gonna fix you the way becoming the man you wish you were is gonna fix you.
How it would feel to have this car, how it would feel to be in this place, how it would feel to be famous and internationally renowned, how it would feel to go to Saint-Tropez and live on a yacht, how it would feel to be able to fly on private planes, how it would feel to not have to worry about food anymore. My brother and I used to imagine for hours. We used to talk about it. We believed in this version of reality where we somehow made it. Not only do you lack motivation, you lack imagination. And that's why it's very important. You need to start believing you are the man, even if you're not yet. Before I was world champion, I knew I was going to be world champion. You have to believe these things. We had imagination and we had hunger and fire. You don't have those things. That's why you're fucked.
And there used to be for men like a rite of passage. In most societies, you had to go through something to become a man, from a boy to a man. But that thing was always difficult. It's always been difficult. Now you have to self-induce it, self-inflict it. But if you're going to be a boy and never bring on that self-inflicted rite of passage, how are you going to ever become a man? There's another thing people don't understand about me and my message. Sometimes I sit here and I say things that piss people off because that's how you trigger people to make action. I have often written emails or done videos to, especially to men when I want to help men, to piss them off. You're a loser. You're a dumbass. Andrew, why you mean? Because you're not going to go to the gym unless I tell you you're a fucking loser. And you are a loser, and I'm not lying to you. You are a loser. The emotional trigger you need to get up off that chair is the fact that you're not important, nobody cares who you are, any girl you're ever in love with I could take, and you're insignificant. And when you die, nobody's interested. That's your fault. You could have been something else. You did that. You failed. It has to be done. You have to be a master communicator. And sometimes that involves also insulting people.
Become a great listener. Get around successful people and listen. Listen to what they say, and listen to how they say it. There is something to be said for style as well as content. And never has listening to successful people been easier or less costly than it is today. And you can listen to their ideas while you do something else. While driving your car, exercising, getting dressed in the morning, anytime. Listen over and over again and feel their ideas become your ideas. Their inspiration, your inspiration. They'll lift your spirit. They'll keep your mind on what's important, on your goal and how you can achieve it. Ideas well written, well spoken, well received, well learned, and well invented can be your driving life force for wealth and happiness. But remember, you can work hard and be sincere all your life and wind up broke and unhappy. You've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good listener. Watch what successful people do. Here's why. Success leaves clues. Spend the money and time and the effort. They're all investments, time, effort, and money. But the payoff is so great, it's hard to compare the cost to the reward. Set up an educational fund. Remember, the best money spent is the money spent to cultivate the genius of your own mind and spirit.
And I know what you're thinking. You're sitting there wondering if you even can change, if you have what it takes.
If maybe you just don't have the right genetics or circumstances. But here's what I need you to understand. Just because you might not become legendary doesn't mean you shouldn't give everything you have while you're here. The fact that most people will forget you doesn't mean you should waste the time you have on Earth. If you work hard when everyone else is resting, that work becomes exponentially more powerful. Think about the days between Christmas and New Year. What did you do with them last year? You probably can't even remember because they were so unremarkable, so wasted, and you're about to waste them again. You want to know why you're wasting your time? Because you're operating under a completely false belief system. You think you've had a hard
Okay, so everyone who is watching, I don't know who is watching, and if someone is watching, I want you to comment on this video so I can tell you about these moves. ये moves every day happen होते हैं, हर दिन ये moves आते हैं और एक स्पेसिफिक टाइम में आते हैं. मेरा यही ट्रेड है और यही मेरा ट्रेड लेने का तरीका है और प्रॉपर एक टाइम है. नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू टेल यू द एक्सपेक्टेड एंडिंग टाइम ऑफ दिस, possibly maybe this. Okay, so फर्स्ट जो चीज़ मैं तुम्हें बताऊंगा, फर्स्टली मैंने जहाँ से ट्रेड को देखना शुरू किया, मैं तुम्हें लेके जाता हूँ M15 मिनट टाइम फ्रेम, लाइक 15 मिनट टाइम फ्रेम. सो ये जो तुम चार्ट स्क्रीन पे देख रहे हो, ये है 15 मिनट टाइम फ्रेम. सो इफ यू कैन लुक एट दिस चार्ट, हमने कल भी मैं लाइव आया था और लाइव ट्रेड में हमने ये मूव कैप्चर किया था. एग्जैक्टली यू कैन सी 9:30, right? Go on your chart and look at this. This is the 9:30 move, and I'm close this trade with 2% up, and the same things here. Sweep, shift in structure, then goes down. Because जो मेन पर्सपेक्टिव था ट्रेड का, जो आज भी वो है कि वी आर इन अ प्रीमियम. किसके प्रीमियम है? हम इस रेंज जो है हमारे पास, इस रेंज के हम प्रीमियम है. और एक क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे अराइज होता है कि दिस इज द एक्सट्रीम प्रीमियम, सो व्हाई वी आर सेलिंग हियर. तो इसका आंसर मैंने कल भी दिया था, आज भी देता हूँ. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, मुझे इस जोन में कोई पीडी एरिया नज़र नहीं आ रही. ये एक पीडी एरिया है हाइज, but I'm not going to take this because can you look at the time? Because when you align the time with price, you can get what you want, right? So this is the time, so that's why I'm entering a short here. So that is succeeded, and we get let me check, we get 41 pips. That is much more than average, right? And if today, okay, of course we have this gap. सो मोस्टली जब प्राइस ऐसे गैप बनाता है तो प्राइस उसमें रिटर्न बैक करता है और उससे रिजेक्शन लेता है और गोइंग डाउन. सो मोस्टली ऐसा होता है, बट इस केस में ऐसा क्यों नहीं हुआ? सो लेट मी टेल यू. हम ऑलरेडी एक रेंज में हैं और वो रेंज है ये, और इस रेंज का ये टारगेट है हमारे पास कि प्राइस ने इस टारगेट को रीच करना है. तो ऑफ कोर्स मैं एक शॉर्ट की ट्रेड करूँगा, बाय की क्यों नहीं. अगर तुम इस तरह का बस चार्ट देखोगे तो तुम्हें लगेगा कि हम डिस्काउंट में हैं, बट वी आर नॉट इन द डिस्काउंटेड. दिस इज नॉट द डिस्काउंटेड प्राइस. डिस्काउंटेड प्राइस इज दिस प्राइस बिकॉज स्मार्ट मनी कैन बाय हियर, नॉट हियर, राइट? सो एक चीज़ ये है, और दूसरा थोड़ी आता है कि वाई प्राइस, मतलब प्राइस यहाँ से यहाँ इन इक्वल हाइज को स्वीप करके फिर यहाँ से डायरेक्शन में जाए. Why not? Same answer. Because of time. Time is the most important thing. Can you let me show you the time? So this is the first of all, let me answer you this कि हमारे पास ये जो टाइम है ना, 9:30 हो चुके हैं, 8:30 9:30. सो 9:30 है हमारे पास. सो 9:30 ओके, हमारे पास ये है. अगर हम सिर्फ ये रेंज लें तो why price is not going to this and why we don't have to short here, why we short here? Because time, because इस टाइम पे आज का मूव हैपन होना है. बाकी तुम इस मूव को देख लो, ये पूरा मूव इसके बाद किसी पूरे डे में इससे पहले पहले किसी कोई 2-15 मिनट की कैंडल मुझे दिखाओ जो इतनी बड़ी बनी, बिकॉज ऑफ टाइम, बिकॉज इस टाइम पे रियल ट्रेडिंग हो रही है. That's the main reason I'm adding a short here and I'm targeting this one first and then this one. So let me, अब मैं इन करूँगा फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल 5 मिनट टाइम फ्रेम. आपका सब हमें पता है कि हम प्रीमियम में हैं और अभी हमें शॉर्ट करना है. सो लुक एट दिस. आई थिंक दिस इज़ 10:25. ओके 10:30 पे मे भी हमें एक और ट्रेड शॉर्ट अगर हम किसी ने करना है तो वो यहाँ से मैं बताता हूँ, फिर वो शॉर्ट कर सकता है. So what is here? Can you see? This is a sweep of liquidity, right? And then price comes down. And I'm already shorting at this point because can you see this? Already there is a sweep of flux and there is market structure shift right here. So already if somebody is enter, because this is not my time, because this time पे मैं enter नहीं होता हूँ. I'm entering for here maybe like here. Okay, price sweeps, price ने इसकी liquidity को sweep किया, down में आया और एक अच्छा shift in structure दिया. Can you see that again? I'm going to on the 1 minute time frame and then you see a clear wide broader picture of this chart. So here it is, first sweep, and can you see this low right here? Let me show you. Can you see this low right here? Yes, this low. Can you see that? Price makes up and then price goes down, right? Then price returns back into this order block right here, and price is again, अगर किसी को यहाँ पे एंटर होना है तो I'm entering right a short here right now. Okay, I'm entering a short right here. Logic is the same, and my SL, let me tell you my SL first. Okay, then you can see whole round direction. Okay, I think this is 10:30, and after 10:30 we have also moved. Okay, for the SL we have to go the 5 minute time frame, and possibly our SL is have to above this high right here. Okay, so we enter here and our, of course, a big SL maybe for me 70, not a big SL by the way. We again enter here and our SL have to here just 0.3% SL. What we're targeting for, let me show you, tell you we are targeting for this low right. Yes, with the 0.3% risk I'm targeting for 3%. So this is for today. Yes. Okay, okay, can you see that? Again here is the rejection. I think this is the productive law. And यहाँ पे एक और थॉट भी है, मैं तुम्हें दिखाता हूँ. वेट अ मिनट. दिस इज जस्ट, कैन यू सी? जब भी 15 मिनट पे ऐसा बड़ा कैंडल देखो, मैंने बहुत बार देखा है कि प्राइस इज गोना कम in the fastest way to this candle, and I know it's going to come down. I know 100% know that it's going to come down. I knew it, and you're gonna see on the live, and you're gonna see. Just stay in the trade. I love this. I love this. And of course मुझे गोल्ड में कोई ट्रेड मिल नहीं रहा था, फिर भी मैं एक बार गोल्ड को देखता हूँ, बट गोल्ड इज डूइंग. Of course there is not now. Today there is not trade in gold. That's the main reason. That's why I'm choosing a one forex pair for trading. So we can also see the dollar index. Okay, here is the dollar index price, of course, in the bullish direction, but fails to make higher high, right? Of course, can you see? This is going to bullish, right? This is just price in the retracement, and of course, this is going up from this point, right here. And I know what you can target for. You can target for these highs. I knew it, and you're gonna see it. Same here, GBP. High, high. Can you see that? Makes lower though, right? Okay, here what is dollar index is doing? Dollar index is this bullish, and price just comes here and comes, and now it's going up. I know it. And what this is doing this. I know this is gonna happen. This is dollar index, and this is ओके मैं डॉलर इंडेक्स पे था, अभी इसका बना पहले हम यहाँ पे इसका लिख देता हूँ मैं यहाँ पर हम जाते हैं डॉलर इंडेक्स पे and what this one is doing, this let me show you, this is what dollar index is doing. High comes down, little consolidation, down, up, down, up, down, then what? This is what this is, and this is the move that I'm telling you it's going to. This is my projection, right? You're gonna see it. I'm 100% sure in this. Sorry, I just want to copy it, and we're gonna GBPUSD. You have to learn to trust it, that it's going to happen. This is what this is for the, and this is for the I'm gonna take a screenshot for the journaling. Okay, yes, we do. I also wanna take this. Yes, this. I knew it by my heart, right? Giving me 20 pips. It's good, right? That's good.
year. You think you deserve rest. You managed to find a place to sleep and food to eat for 12 months, and somehow you've convinced yourself that's an achievement worthy of celebration and recovery time. You don't need rest. What you need is work. You need it more desperately than ever. Your mind has been destroyed by algorithms, by endless scrolling, by constant digital distraction. Your attention span is gone. Your ability to focus has been assassinated. You start things and stop when they get difficult, then retreat back into digital numbness. The average man today starts something, encounters resistance, and immediately quits. Then he goes back to scrolling, back to distraction, back to comfort. He tells himself he tried, as if trying without succeeding means anything. Being a man means when you say you're going to do something, you do it, regardless of how difficult it becomes. You don't start and stop repeatedly, waiting until you feel motivated to continue. That's not how excellence works. Motivation isn't real. It's not a real thing. People who train every day don't want to train every day. They're not motivated in the way you think about motivation. They have something else entirely. It's called discipline. It's called being a man. It's not about feeling like doing something. If you only do things you feel like doing, you end up sitting around with a soft body, drinking expensive coffee, thinking you're living well. You have to wake up and tell yourself that regardless of how you feel, you will train, you will work, you will improve. The difference between a man and a child is simple. A child does what he feels like doing. A man does what he's supposed to do. You don't become exceptional by following your feelings. You become exceptional by following your duties, your responsibilities, your commitments, regardless of your emotional state. It is your duty to not be physically weak and out of shape. You don't get anywhere in life without this foundation. You can't just play games and stumble into wealth. You have to show up on time, look sharp, be intelligent, remember important details, develop charisma. I come from an era of discipline, from the old school way of doing things. The absolute marker of a man is his ability to do what he doesn't feel like doing. What kind of person only does what they feel like doing? It doesn't matter if I'm happy or sad or tired or energized. I still do what needs to be done. That's my job. That's my duty. I understand why so many people doubt themselves. They doubt themselves because they're incompetent. When you're bad at things, when you fail repeatedly, of course you're going to doubt yourself. The only way to stop doubting yourself is to show some actual competence. If you become competent and start succeeding perpetually, your mentality shifts. Your mindset is heavily connected to your reality. Most people have weak mindsets because they have weak lives, weak bodies, weak social circles, weak networks, weak bank accounts, weak relationships. If everything in your life is weak, your mind will be weak by extension. But if you were strong, if your woman would never leave you because she completely admires you, if your bank account was solid, if your body was powerful, your mentality would be strong automatically. When someone tells me they doubt themselves, I usually understand exactly why. They're often overweight, out of shape, and not particularly intelligent about their choices. Of course they doubt themselves. If I were them, I'd doubt myself too. But here's the thing, that can change. Everything can change. The best way to predict the future is to study history. Go back 3,000 years. If you were a king, life was excellent. Power, influence, wealth, respect. If you weren't a king, if you were a common man, life was terrible. You were effectively a slave. People always talk about, if you try your best, it's okay to fail. It doesn't matter if you fail, if you tried your best. But they don't talk about the real secret of the universe. The real secret of the universe is this. If you try your best, you never fail. So I am the genie. I have appeared. I am giving you the 100% guarantee that anything you try, you are going to win it. I'm giving you the 100% guarantee. You can be a millionaire. You can be a figure skater. You can be anything. You can climb Mount Everest. Anything you want to do. You can have the best reputation on the planet. You can be famous. You can have all the women. You can have 10 sons. You can have anything you want. I guarantee it to you. I'm the genie. I promised it to you. All you have to do is write them down on a piece of paper and promise yourself you're going to try. The number one thing holding you back is that you've become so ridiculously spoiled. You believe if you do some work, you deserve to be paid. And you want to know exactly how much you're going to be paid. And you want to know when the money is going to come before you do the work. This is how your mindset works. Yes, I can go try at something as long as I'm going to be given what I want in return. As long as I'm going to get it on the day I want, and as long as I get enough compensation for me to feel like my effort was worthwhile, that I can go and try something. You cannot try at anything without the guarantee of that compensation. That is your problem, and that is why you're spoiled. You do know most people who have ever achieved anything in the world have put in thousands of hours of work into something without any guarantee they're going to get paid, without any guarantee anybody's going to know their name, without any knowledge of when a repayment would come, if it comes at all. They took a leap of faith. They believed in themselves. And more importantly, they believed in the work. I'm going to do all this work because I believe in the end the universe will give me what I deserve. And the universe always does. But you can't do that because you cannot go to the gym and train like an animal. You cannot begin a business and dedicate 100% of yourself. You can't learn something new. You can't do anything because you're sitting there wondering, well, if I do this, when do I get paid? Without that answer, without someone coming along and promising you a certain amount of money on a certain day, you won't work. Whereas a winner will work anyway because they believe in the work. Work works. And if you believe that work works, you do the work and you let the work work. And before you know it, you get paid. So you are ridiculously spoiled. Stop worrying about when you're going to get your compensation. Stop worrying about when all of this is going to pay off. Stop worrying about when it's going to be worth it. Forget all of that. Find work worth doing and focus on the work because work works. Do you understand? All of your life will be instantly fixed if you start to actually care about the outcomes and blame yourself for all of these things. You can get rich anytime you want. You can get a brotherhood anytime you want. You can have a woman who respects you more than she respects the ideas she sees on a screen anytime you want. There's nothing you cannot do. You can have anything you have ever wanted anytime you want. As soon as you give a damn, blame yourself, and put some work in. And this is why I said at the beginning, the only way I have ever won anything in my life is by force. It's all I know how to do. It is all I have ever done is to look at the insurmountable task ahead of me, to look at the large, huge mountain which has never been climbed before, and one step at a time with an iron mind which will not bend, remaining completely unfazed, put one foot in front of the other until one day I wake up and I'm at the top of the hill. There is no easy way to get anything else done ever. God is watching and he rewards those who want it the most. If you want it the most, you can have it. You have to want it the most and genuinely do your best because most people aren't capable of doing their best anymore. That is the secret. You cannot fail if you try your best. You do not need entertainment until you've already reached the highest possible level. So this whole idea that you need amusement in your life, you don't. What you need is purpose. You need discipline. You need activities that will benefit you and others around you. You need performance metrics. You don't need to wake up thinking about entertainment. You're not important. Nobody knows who you are. You're not physically strong. You're not financially wealthy. You have bigger concerns. What are we going to do this weekend? We need to have some enjoyment. Really. Have you actually gone out into the universe and made a mark large enough that you're allowed some time off to have amusement? You don't deserve any entertainment. You don't need any. You have work to do. These things you think are entertaining aren't actually enjoyable. For a man, your contentment will come from your purpose, your competence, and succeeding at objectives. It will never come from easily accessible pleasure seeking. If everybody can go to that concert, you shouldn't want to go. You should only want to do things others can't do. The only satisfaction I have is doing things I know you're not allowed to do. But if you say to me, come to this party, and I ask who's there, and you say everyone, if everyone's there, it's worthless. The fact that you think that's enjoyable shows you have a severe mental deficiency. You're only going to find actual satisfaction through purpose, and you're only going to find purpose through exceptionalism. So you need to become the best possible version of yourself in all realms. You're unhappy because you're trying to have amusement instead of trying to become important. And you're never going to feel satisfied in your heart unless you become important. How do you find happiness? Happiness is in struggle. The struggle and the size of the struggle you're facing are directly correlated to how successful and how happy you're going to feel all of the time. Solving those problems leads to a positive place. Once you become addicted to it, you're going to become a machine of monumental achievement. There are some very simple, basic things you can do. Weight training, chess, trying your very best to take care of your mother, retire her. You need goals and resistance and something to fight against to live well. If you only have joy all the time and no pain, you are not going to be happy. Difficult lives are fulfilling because we used to have to hunt and fish and go through difficulty to survive. I often see that when I speak to people who are too comfortable, they end up being unhappy. You must earn happiness. You must climb a mountain. You must struggle yourself to happiness. That's extremely important. There must be physical, mental, social, some kind of spiritual struggle. The only other alternative to feel good is pleasure seeking. And that's not going to satisfy you for very long. It's also going to destroy your life. Next, you want to try and make as much money as possible. Not even necessarily for the money, although money is extremely important because it allows you to take care of yourself, but there's a challenge involved. Solving that challenge is going to make you feel more satisfied as a human. Happiness comes from success, and making money is success. That's why I quit drinking. People think I quit drinking because I reverted to Islam. That's not why. I actually quit drinking 2 months before that. I was extremely effective on alcohol. I was still world famous. I was still making millions of dollars. I was still in fantastic physical condition. All the videos you watched of me from a year and a half ago, I still looked like a bodybuilder. I still outperformed everybody. I didn't have a drinking problem. I could easily quit. In fact, I didn't even want to drink most of the time. It's just when a party was going on. I was still monumentally successful on alcohol, and I could continue to drink alcohol for the rest of my life and still be top tier forever. But I stopped because I thought, will I enjoy having less amusement? Will it be enjoyable to have less enjoyment? I was sitting with Tristan. This is actually on a confidential recording you can find. We got on a private jet. We were drinking gin and tonics the whole time. It was $250 per megabyte of Wi-Fi. So we put the Wi-Fi on and played music to run up this $30,000 Wi-Fi bill on the $50,000 jet while drinking alcohol. We flew into Cannes, France, and landed. We stayed in this massive mansion with all these beautiful women. When it ended, I said to Tristan, okay, that's all enjoyable, but would it be enjoyable to have less enjoyment?
Do I ever wake up thinking I have enough money? There's nothing else to do. I calculate that never working again, I could spend $22,000 daily for life. I try relaxing, but within 22 minutes, I'm back working because there's nothing else. I cannot stop working despite not needing money. Yet people with no money don't work. This distinction separates winners from losers. Losers work briefly, then rest. Winners work maximally while worrying they're not working hard enough. You cannot save these people who claim they lack motivation. You're a loser if you think this way. You won't always feel like taking action. You must do it anyway because it's your duty to avoid being a loser. Why do you need motivation? You have an obligation to stop losing because opportunities are disappearing. The most frequent question I receive is about lacking motivation, which annoys me because I sometimes feel unmotivated too. For the gym, for work, but I do it regardless. That's called discipline. If you wake daily lacking motivation to do necessary tasks while competing against people who act regardless of feelings, you'll perpetually lose. Asking for motivation effectively means requesting someone to make you want to act. No, you must take action or remain a loser. When I meet someone 50 years old with zero money, I don't think they've struggled. I think they're lazy. Lazy people never achieve anything in life, whether tennis or wealth. If you're lazy, you'll never succeed. In my 36 years, I've never witnessed someone genuinely trying their absolute best, truly motivated to become their optimal self, who doesn't achieve their desires. I've never seen someone who dedicates all their time doing what they should, treats people well, remains honest, works hard, maintains integrity, avoids deception, someone God favors, fail to obtain everything they want. I believe the universe grants anyone anything they genuinely desire. I've seen people make excuses and fail, but never seen anyone who wakes up, stays quiet, works, and doesn't succeed. I achieved world champion status while lacking food. How did you fail so catastrophically? How can you lack motivation? How can prey in a predator's jaws claim insufficient drive while being distracted by base urges? They're actively destroying you. You're bleeding out. Fight back. Without winning, you're losing. Someone who loses is a loser. You must act anyway because it's your duty to avoid being a loser. If you always felt like acting, there'd be no magic. The magic exists because you act regardless of feelings. Everything as a man falls under your responsibility. It's your responsibility to become your best, brightest version. You won't achieve this by talking. You need to pursue genuinely difficult, stressful challenges to become who you want to be. To be a superhero in life, understand that 80% of the story involves suffering. When your life follows that pattern, you have opportunities to grow into something fantastic. Thank God for every difficult obstacle placed in your path. A man unjustly imprisoned in a Romanian cell trained so intensely he emerges stronger than before. That's a movie. We're living movie scripts because we have courage. Most men wonder why they're depressed, because they don't live movies. They're not protagonists of anything because they've lived in fear their entire lives. You've lived as a coward and wonder about depression. I'd be depressed if I were you too. I'd rather face imprisonment as myself than live freely as you. Your freedom is worthless. You can't go where you want because you're broke. You can't attract partners. You can't speak because nobody listens. You're more imprisoned than I ever was. My mind is free. I'm permitted to think and speak as I choose. Others have thoughts and question whether they should express them. They're their own worst enemies. Every part of me supports my team. My hands, legs, every component is aligned. My body doesn't second guess itself. My mind doesn't turn against itself. We don't break or self-sabotage.
there are no internal conflicts. You should feel too ashamed to be a coward. Where's your shame? We've destroyed that concept, even in schools. I'll tell you something. My brother can shame me into action. Shame works for men sometimes. Men approach me saying they can't get girlfriends, and I tell them it's because they're losers. I tell them to prove otherwise. I shame them, they react, and their lives improve. But now we have shameless men, and we wonder why we have abundant cowards. Cowardice is always the easy choice, but you should feel too much shame to select it. There's one path to happiness: masculine strength, consuming pain for breakfast, becoming better. Pain is life's flavor. Accept it and learn to love it. That's the only route to genuine competence and happiness as a man. You are not obligated to shrink so others feel comfortable. Your obligation is to fulfill your potential responsibly. And yes, there will be moments when you question whether it's worth it. There will be nights when the weight of responsibility feels heavy. There will be days when progress feels invisible. That is where most people quit. That is also where separation happens. Those who continue anyway build lives that others only talk about. You do not need to dominate anyone. You do not need to prove anything publicly. The goal is internal authority, the ability to trust yourself completely. When you trust yourself, you move faster. You decide faster. You recover faster. You adapt faster. Indecision disappears when self-trust is high. And self-trust is built through evidence, through showing yourself repeatedly that you do what you say you will do. This is why small promises matter. Keep them, especially when no one else knows. Character is built in private. Eventually, the external rewards arrive. Opportunities increase, income grows, options expand. But by that point, those things no longer define you. You are defined by your standards. And standards, once raised, do not drop easily. That is the real victory. Not money, not status, not recognition, but becoming someone who cannot return to weakness. Once you reach that point, even setbacks cannot break you. Loss becomes instruction. Pressure becomes fuel. Uncertainty becomes opportunity. You stop asking, what if this fails? And start asking, how fast can I adapt? That mindset alone is worth more than money. Because money can be lost, but capability compounds. And once you are capable, rebuilding is inevitable. So continue. Even when it's quiet, even when it's slow, even when no one notices. Especially then, because that is where real power is built. Eventually, you begin to notice something subtle but profound. The chaos around you no longer controls you. The noise still exists. The distractions are still there. The pressure doesn't disappear, but it loses authority over your decisions. You stop reacting, you start choosing. And that shift changes everything. Most people are ruled by urgency. Whatever screams the loudest gets their attention. Messages, deadlines, emotions, problems that feel immediate but are ultimately insignificant. They live in constant response mode, mistaking urgency for importance. That is how lives are wasted quietly, one interruption at a time. When you grow disciplined, urgency no longer hijacks you. You learn to distinguish between what is loud and what actually matters. You become calm under pressure because you are no longer confused about priorities. Clarity gives you emotional stability. Emotional stability gives you an advantage. This is why composure is power. A calm individual thinks longer term. A calm individual sees patterns others miss. A calm individual cannot be easily manipulated. Panic makes people predictable. Calm makes you dangerous. You stop chasing quick wins and start building durable systems. Systems that work when you are tired. Systems that work when motivation disappears. Systems that compound quietly while others are distracted by short-term pleasure. At this stage, patience becomes natural. You no longer feel the need to rush success because you trust the trajectory you're on. You know that every day of correct effort places you further ahead than most people will ever reach. You stop comparing yourself to others because comparison loses relevance. Their pace is irrelevant. Their goals are irrelevant. Their approval is irrelevant. You are running your own race, governed by your own standards. That internal alignment creates peace. And peace is not weakness. Peace is controlled strength. It is confidence without noise. It is certainty without arrogance. It is knowing you can handle what comes next, even if you don't yet know what it is. This is where many people misunderstand strength. They think strength is aggression. It isn't. Aggression is often compensation for insecurity. True strength is restraint. It is the ability to remain disciplined when emotions surge. It is the ability to delay gratification even when temptation is easy and consequence is distant. You begin to value your word more than your comfort. If you commit to something, you execute. Not because it feels good, but because you said you would. This creates a reputation, first with yourself, then with others. Reputation compounds. People begin to trust you without needing explanations. They rely on you without reminders. They respect you without you asking for it. Not because you demand respect, but because you've earned credibility through consistency. Credibility is built slowly and lost instantly. That awareness makes you precise. You choose actions carefully. You avoid shortcuts that compromise integrity. You understand that shortcuts often cost more in the long run than they save. Clarity of objective simplifies everything. When you know what you're building, decisions become obvious. You stop wasting energy on low-value distractions. You stop entertaining pointless conversations. You stop negotiating with weakness. Weakness is seductive. It speaks softly. It tells you that rest is deserved, that delay is reasonable, that comfort is harmless. But comfort has a cost, and it is always paid later with interest. The men who dominate outcomes are not cruel. They are precise. They understand cause and effect. They do not gamble with their future. They calculate. They move deliberately. They do not rush, but they never hesitate. There is a difference between patience and procrastination. Patience is waiting while working. Procrastination is waiting while avoiding. One builds power. The other builds regret. If you want to know where your life is going, look at what you do when no one is watching. That is who you really are. Public image is irrelevant. Private behavior determines destiny. You cannot fake consistency. You cannot fake discipline. You cannot fake results for long. Reality always audits effort. It always collects what is owed. This is why excuses eventually collapse. They may protect ego temporarily, but they do nothing to change outcomes. The man who abandons excuses gains immediate clarity, and clarity accelerates growth. You must become ruthless with your time. Time is not renewable. Money can be replaced. Energy can be restored. Time only moves forward. Every wasted hour is gone forever. High-level performers do not ask how to do more things. They ask what to eliminate. Subtraction creates focus. Focus creates leverage. You do not need to be extraordinary to win. You need to be consistent where others are chaotic. You need to be disciplined where others are emotional. You need to persist where others quit. That alone puts you in the top percentile. And once you reach that level, life changes quietly. Opportunities begin to appear. People take you seriously. Doors open without explanation. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned gravity. Gravity comes from weight. Weight comes from results. Results come from repetition. By the time others ask how you did it, you will struggle to explain. Not because it was complicated, but because it was simple and they refused to do it. This path is not glamorous. It is not cinematic. It is repetitive, lonely, and unforgiving. But it works. It has always worked. It will always work. And one day, without warning, you will realize that the life you once hoped for has quietly become your baseline. What once felt impossible now feels normal. That is the reward. Not applause, not envy, not validation. Control. And control is worth everything. Eventually you reach a point where motivation no longer matters at all. You do not wake up inspired, you wake up decided. The decision has already been made. The question is no longer whether you will work, but how precisely you will execute today. This is where amateurs disappear and professionals emerge. Professionals do not debate with themselves, they move. At this stage, effort becomes quieter. There is no rush, no emotional charge, no desperation. You are no longer trying to prove anything to anyone. You are simply maintaining standards. Standards remove chaos. Standards remove negotiation. Standards turn progress into a natural byproduct of how you live. Most people think pressure breaks men. Pressure only breaks the unprepared. For the disciplined, pressure clarifies. It strips away distractions. It forces prioritization. It reveals what actually matters. This is why high performers often seem calm during crisis. They have trained under stress long before it arrived. You must understand that ease is not the goal. Capability is. A capable man does not fear difficulty because difficulty becomes fuel. He does not avoid responsibility because responsibility investments leverage. He does not chase comfort because comfort weakens instinct. Weak men seek ease. Strong men seek mastery. Mastery requires repetition under boredom, under fatigue, under doubt. Anyone can perform when conditions are perfect. Only a disciplined man performs when conditions are hostile. The world does not reward potential, it rewards proof. Proof is accumulated slowly, invisibly, and without ceremony. That is why most people abandon the process before proof appears. They mistake silence for failure. They mistake invisibility for insignificance. In reality, invisibility is protection. It allows you to build without interference. It allows you to sharpen without comparison. It allows you to grow without pressure to perform prematurely. Visibility too early is dangerous. It attracts opinions before results. You should never rush to be seen. Rush to be competent. Recognition arrives automatically once competence becomes undeniable. And when it arrives, you will not need it anymore. Resilience is earned through friction. The more friction you survive, the less fragile you become. That is why hard men are calm and soft men are anxious. The hard man has tested himself against reality. The soft man has only tested ideas in his head. You cannot think your way into toughness. You must suffer your way into it. And suffering does not mean misery. It means effort. It means sacrifice. It means choosing the harder option when the easier one is available. Every time you choose difficulty voluntarily, you increase your capacity to handle life involuntarily. Most people do the opposite. They choose ease whenever possible, then wonder why life overwhelms them when difficulty arrives uninvited. The man who trains himself in hardship is never surprised by pressure. Pressure feels familiar to him. He has been there before. This is why discipline is freedom. Discipline removes chaos. It removes indecision. It removes emotional negotiation. When you are disciplined, you no longer ask yourself whether you should act. You already decided long ago. Decision fatigue kills ambition. Discipline eliminates decision fatigue. Weak men debate with themselves every day. Strong men obey systems they built for themselves. You must become your own authority. No one is coming to manage your life. No one is coming to structure your days. No one is coming to force discipline upon you. If you do not impose order on yourself, the world will impose disorder on you. And disorder always costs more. The cost may be financial. The cost may be physical. The cost may be emotional. But the bill always arrives. The reason people romanticize youth is not because youth is special. It is because youth hides consequences. As time passes, consequences become unavoidable. What you neglect in your 20s punishes you in your 30s. What you neglect in your 30s punishes you in your 40s. Time is a delayed judge, but a ruthless one. This is why urgency matters, not panic. Urgency. The understanding that patience is enduring effort without quitting. Passivity is avoiding effort while pretending to wait for the right moment. These two are not the same. Patience works only when paired with relentless action. The most dangerous mindset is believing you still have plenty of time. That belief quietly kills greatness. It makes tomorrow feel guaranteed when it is not. Tomorrow is only guaranteed to those who act today. The world belongs to people who are willing to look stupid early. Every dominant figure you admire once looked foolish to people who did nothing. Risk always looks reckless to those who refuse to take it. You cannot avoid judgment. You can only choose which judgment you prefer, being mocked for trying or being ignored for never becoming anything. At least the man who tries has a story. The man who never starts fades quietly into statistics. You were not born to be average. Average is not neutral. Average is losing slowly. Average is settling. Average is living a life small enough to avoid criticism and large enough to feel constant dissatisfaction. Average is the most miserable place to exist. Excellence hurts less than mediocrity in the long run. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret compounds daily. And regret is silent at first. It whispers. Then it speaks. Then it screams. Most people only wake up when it is too late to fully recover. You still have time, but not enough to waste. Action creates self-respect. When you do hard things consistently, you trust yourself. When you break promises to yourself repeatedly, you lose self-respect. No amount of external validation fixes that. Confidence is internal alignment. It is knowing your...
Genuinely imagine what you would look like
Imagine where you would live. Imagine the car you would drive. Imagine how much your woman would respect you. Imagine the love you would see in her eyes when she looks at you with adoration like a king. Imagine your existence. That person is waiting for you, and the only thing that's stopping you from being that person is your monumental laziness. You can have it. The universe is very giving. It will give you anything you work for. I've never seen somebody try for something with all of their might and not get it. The only people who do not have the things they want are the people who do not try for them. I've never seen a person wake up and say, my only dedication in life is to solve a Rubik's Cube and fail. You are not stupid. You are not incompetent. You are lazy and arrogant. It's extremely important you understand that that person is waiting for you, and you are declining that version of yourself. In the multiverse, in the many different versions of the universe that exist, there is a version of you that does those exact things, and he is a greater person than you can even fathom. You can transform yourself into that guy. You can be a top G. That's exactly what I did. I knew who I was going to have to end up being before I became that person. My brother and I are not from rich families. We are not from advantaged beginnings, but I knew I had to be a big, strong, fighting billionaire. That's what I knew I had to be. Discipline is the key to success. If you cannot force yourself to do something you don't want to do, how are you ever going to put yourself through the suffering required for greatness? If you cannot force yourself to train when you do not want to train, if you cannot force yourself to work when you don't want to work, or force yourself to eat right, how can you possibly ever become a monumentally successful person if you cannot control yourself long enough to do what must be done as opposed to what you feel like doing? A man must do what he is supposed to do irregardless of how he feels. That is the key component to masculinity, is discipline. If you do not have the discipline to dedicate yourself to anything, you are going to fail and be crushed by the people who can. If you only go to the gym when you feel like going to the gym, you're never going to be as strong as the people who go to the gym when they don't feel like going to the gym. That is a reality of life. So, I train every single day. I've actually heard from some people saying, you overtrain. And I explain to them, one, I don't believe in rest. I'm not you. I'm not broke like you are, Mr. Fitness Trainer, standing around the gym teaching people $50 an hour. I don't need to listen to you. Secondly, I don't train because I want to get bigger. I train every day because it is difficult to train every day. It hurts. I don't want to. I wake up and I'm busy. I have other things to do. I don't feel like doing it. So I force myself to do it 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so that I know I'm the kind of person who can do what he doesn't want to do when it needs to be done. I am that man. And it is more of a mental exercise than a physical exercise at this point. How can you ever outcompete me if I can force myself to do the things I don't want to do and you cannot? Discipline is absolutely essential for success, and you need to get very comfortable and very used to the idea of understanding that on your path to greatness, there are going to be long periods of time where you hate what you are doing, where you are dissatisfied with the actions you must undertake, where you are tired, where you are stressed. That is why it is difficult. That is why most people won't make it. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path, 99 fall off because it is difficult, and the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place. If it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it and you wouldn't want it because no one would respect it. It's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to think this is terrible. You're supposed to suffer and smile through the pain regardless. Discipline is the key to success in all realms as a man. And if you lack it, you stand no chance. You can give most people a roadmap to success. You can give them a Ferrari with a full tank of gas, and a lot of people still wouldn't make the destination because they would say the drive is too far away. Quitters, they don't have the discipline. You can tell them exactly how to do it. You can give them the mechanism to get there, but they don't have the discipline to complete the drive and end up at the destination. That is the majority of Earth. This is your competition. People who, even if they are told what to do and people tell them exactly how to do it and help them do it, still quit, still fail because they lack discipline. Even me, with my monumental powers, I can't make a quitter successful. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter how easily I make it for them to succeed. It doesn't matter how compendious and concise and powerful the real world is. It doesn't matter how much I text them and motivate them, how many emergency meetings I do to try and talk to them and hype them up, how much motivation I give them. It doesn't matter what I do. If they are a quitter, guess what they're going to do? They're going to quit. No matter how simple the map is to read, no matter how fast a Ferrari is, somewhere along the drive, the sun's going to get in their eyes, meh, meh, and they're going to sit there and go, I don't like this is hard, and they're going to quit. Quitters are the number one type of people that nobody can help. If you're a quitter, I can't help you, life can't help you, God himself cannot help a quitter. So if you lack discipline, you lack the very basic building block to any type of success which exists on the planet. By every single metric which can be measured with science, you are going to stay a loser and a failure. So you need to pick the low-hanging fruit first. And the starting block to all of these things is your body. I believe you lift, stretch, move, improve your body, try and train MMA, learn how to fight, get stronger, get bigger muscles. It's a fast track to self-discipline, which will carry over into all other endeavors. And I would argue that is nearly impossible. In fact, how many people can say the gym saved their life? How many people do you know were depressed, started training, got in fantastic shape, and weren't depressed anymore? It is very easy. The low-hanging fruit is your body and upgrading your body. That is the easiest struggle, which is never going to backfire on you and never going to be a negative towards any other facet of your life. And when I look at men who are physical specimens, I think everyone naturally does this, but I'm going to openly say it. I respect them differently than I look at men who aren't. I have a different level of respect for them because they show me they have discipline. They show me they have motivation. They show me they're capable of doing difficult and hard things. Those are the kind of people I trust. They're not afraid of struggle. They're problem solvers. People who train are problem solvers, and you need to become one, and you need to become very, very adept at solving problems pretty quickly. I actually find it amazing that there's people out there who aren't in perfect physical condition. Guys, let me tell you all a news flash. If you eat right and you train hard, you look good.
Yeah.
It's like a biological certainty. It's almost impossible to be fat and look bad if you eat right and train hard. Your body will react and give you exactly what you want. So why don't you all look like superheroes? Do you not understand how intimidating that is just when they look at a group of people and they all look like superheroes and they can tell they're all disciplined, all hardworking, all dedicated, all physically strong? The struggle is what's beautiful about it. That's the most important thing. That's what you have to understand. The key is to keep training. If you train hard every single day, you don't have to worry about a little bit of vitamin C. It's true. If you don't train and you don't smoke, you're still going to be a pussy.
Yes.
The answer is always hard work. As soon as you are granted life, you are guaranteed death. What you do in between is up to you. You are all conscious. That could end tomorrow, that could end in 100 years. But the time between the beginning of your consciousness and the end of it is completely up to you. Training is never the wrong decision. If you are free, you should train. If you are rich, you should train. If you are poor, you should train. If you smoke, you should train. If you don't smoke, you should train. If you drink, you should train. If you don't drink, you should train. You cannot escape that hard work is always the correct decision. There is no time in any scenario when working hard is going to be the wrong answer. You should always try your very best in all things.
I always knew the answer to everything is raw action. The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor, what do I do? It was, I'm poor, I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Dunno. Where can I get some cash? Dunno. What work can I do? Dunno. I'll just go for a run then. And I just go for 3-mile run. You just have to say, well, I have to do something. I can't just sit still and die. A lot of people are happy to just sit still and die or go to sleep and take a nap. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can stay a loser. That's fine. I'm glad there are losers because if everyone had Lamborghinis, my Lamborghini wouldn't be fun to show off. I need you to look at it and feel the deep pain in your heart of regret and failure. That's the whole point of it. I need to drive my Bugatti and everyone be looking at it going, I'll never have one of those. And I can get all their energy and feel it all, and it makes me happy. Fantastic. So you can sit at home and do nothing. But when I was poor, I had to go for a run. I couldn't sit still or lift weights or do something. I couldn't even sleep. So raw action solves everything. I understood that at a young age. But as you get older, you get to look back and you get to put your whole story together, the whole tapestry together. I knew I wouldn't stay poor. Did I ever think I'd get this rich? Well, I never said I wouldn't, but did I ever think it would probably happen at this level? No. But it's amazing how the compounding interest of just endless raw action adds up. I've never had a lazy day. I've never skipped work, never missed an email, never had a day off, ever. You name if you were to go through the last 3 years of my life, you will see that there's never been a day where I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And it all just adds up, and then monumental success comes, and you get to laugh at everybody else, ha ha ha, and life's great. I find it amazing that, I speak to people my age, and I say, in my 20s, I spent maybe
I don't know, let's say 3 hours a day. What's a decade at 3 hours a day? Let's just say 10,000 hours. I spent 10,000 hours in the gym training. You're the same age as me. What did you do with those 10,000 hours? And they can't even tell me what they did. What did you do? Watch TV, go out, go pub, sit around, sleep, nap, chase women? What did you actually do? We had the same amount of waking hours and the same amount of minutes. I know where 10,000 hours of my minutes went, and that's why I'm the champ. That's why I have 4 title belts above my bed. That's how I spent my 10,000 hours. Tell me what you did with your 10,000 hours, which is equal to, comparable to, or superior than how I spent my time. And they can't even name what they did with any of their time. They're like, don't know. So if you're 16, you need to be using every single waking minute towards things you're going to remember. You're going to remember training. You're going to remember working hard. You're going to remember trying to make money. You're spending your life and wasting your time doing things you're not even going to be able to recollect in a few years. You're going to wonder why you fall behind the people who don't waste time. Time is the ultimate currency. Time is money. Time is also strength and power and networks, connection. Time is everything. You can convert it. It's like malleable. Time is like Play-Doh. Yeah. You can turn it into anything. You can turn it into muscles if you go to the gym. Turn it into fighting prowess if you go to the fight gym. But people have all this time and they just mush around with it. And then they're like, oh, don't know why I'm failing. I wish I was successful.
You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them.
All of your minds are broken. You can't even focus on anything anymore. You're right. You are constantly distracted to the point where you can't even appreciate the good things in your life. If you cannot control your own mind, then you are just a feather in the wind of life, because your own mind is the only thing you can control. You can't control the weather. Right. You can't control other people. You can't even control whether your heart stops beating. You might have a heart attack tomorrow. You can't control anything besides what you think. If you cannot control your own mind, then you go through life with zero control, zero influence. You can't control anything. You're just a feather in the wind, waiting for life to blow you from happy place to sad place to happy place to sad place, completely hoping on the gods to be fortunate to you, because if any genuine discomfort comes your way, you're fucked. I've never seen anybody dedicate themselves to something completely and fair. I've never seen somebody eat right, go to the gym every day, train really hard, and not be in good shape. I've literally never seen it. The universe is extremely giving. If you actually try and you actually want it, and you're actually not making excuses, lying, talking shit, you're going to get what you want. I think the universe and God himself is very giving. I've yet to meet somebody in all my years who is genuinely giving 100% of themselves day after day, doesn't snake anyone, firm handshake, look you in the eye, doesn't lie to nobody, and tries 100%, doesn't get what they want. I've never seen it.
I'd love to be at that table. Tell me what I have to do. You know what you have to do. So go fucking do it. Stop asking us questions. Stop pretending you don't fucking know. You know what to fucking do. Go do it.
Everyone knows what to do. You know what you have to do.
You're right.
If you had to become the most dangerous, intelligent, respectable man on the planet, you know you're supposed to go to the gym. You know you're supposed to train, learn how to fight. You know all these things. You don't do them. That's your decision. It's your prerogative. I didn't make that choice. I made the choice to do it all. If we were still in the animal kingdom, the lions that you see on TV, they weren't just born big lions. They had to fight other lions. They had to fight to get that antelope. They had to fight other animals, hyenas, jackals. They had to fight to be the boss. We're living in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter, and I'm going to tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul, and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me.
Life's depressing. Are you a bitch? You're going to cry about it? Or you're going to do something about it? Like, life is depressing. Who told us? Tell me where it says in the human handbook that we're supposed to be happy all of the time. Right, we're not supposed to be happy. We're supposed to survive.
There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do fuck all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become. The best mental model is God wants me to learn something. And he's going to teach me that through suffering. He's going to make this difficult, and he's going to make me feel pain, and he's going to make this as hard as he decides it needs to be, so that I can sit here and learn things. I've never played any of those games, but I find it amazing that people will sit there and spend all their time upgrading that character, making as much money as they can, getting the best guns, getting strong, getting the best car. They'll do all that in a game, but they won't do it in real life. I find that incredible. Like, my life is GTA. I don't see why people play the games. They play the games because they're scared of loss, because if you die in the game, you get another chance. If you lose in the game, you get another chance. In life, you get one shot. That's what life is as a game. That's what life is as a man. This is one big video game. You get to upgrade your character. You're not born with any value. As a man, if you don't make yourself valuable, you have no value. You have to get up and do it. Just like a video game, you start with fucking zero.
If you want to feel happy inside of yourself, and you want to feel content, and you want to feel stable inside of yourself, you need to live true to God. And I'm not saying you can't drink a little bit of alcohol or not party or not have a little bit of fun. You have to be a good person.
Your ancestors did all that shit, all that struggling to survive, hunting and gathering, fucking avoiding enemies, anything it took, dying at age 30 from a tooth infection, all the crap they went through just for you to be born so you could smoke weed and jack off. That's what your ancestors died for. That's what they worked so hard for. That's who you are. That's the end of your fucking bloodline. Do you feel no shame? It's fucking shameful.
So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever.
I don't believe in the societal paradigms in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy.
Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have a fucking ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's.
If you were to go and look your father in the eye and said, you know what, I could have been a UFC champion. I could have been a multi-millionaire. I could have been a race car driver. I could have been a fucking nuclear physicist. Could have done all these things, but I was busy on Pornhub. You think he's going to be proud of you? Fuck no.
There is no light without dark. You will not appreciate your six-pack unless you didn't have one and you had to earn it. That's how the world works. So when I talk to these dudes like, oh, but it's, you know what, Tate, yeah, I agree, but you know, it's hard. It's hard. Of course it is. It's supposed to be.
The people who go, yes, I'm wasting my potential, those are the ones who have potential. The ones who stand up and go, I am wasting my potential. I could be anything and I am not that yet. They have a chance. The men who go, well, no, actually, I'm fine. They're fucked. They're inside the matrix, fully slave-minded. They're a waste of time.
I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It's against my creed. It's not in my DNA.
When I tell people that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, everyone agrees. They go, yeah, that's probably true. And then they continue to hang around with people who they don't want to be. Why? There has to be a point. There has to be a point where you sit and go, okay, you're my friends, etc., etc. I love you guys. Yeah, we can talk, whatever. But I'm on a different life path. You have to leave some people behind. If you were to get in a room and you're the only person who ain't a fucking monster, you'd want to become a monster. That's life. That's humanity.
But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless.
Once you have control of your mind, life is so ridiculously easy. It's so ridiculously easy. It's so easy to be in. People say to me, Tate, you're in good shape. All you do is drink vodka and travel the world. You're never even home. You never even have a gym. How do you do it? It's ridiculously easy if you control your mind. If I decide to do 1,000 push-ups, I'll do them.
Maybe I have to do them one at a time. Maybe I'll get tired. Maybe I need a break. I'm going to do 1,000 because I said I'm going to do 1,000. It's not fucking hard. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do. Once you control your mind, it's easy, right? Getting over a breakup with that bitch. You miss that girl, you're upset, you miss her with all your heart, da-da-da. But once you realize she's gone, if you control your mind, she's gone now. She's gone now, I'm gonna miss her. That's a shame. Off to the gym. That's life. I always knew that Matrix existed. And I always knew that the traditional systems.
From what age did you know?
Say again?
From what age did you know?
I always knew.
Okay.
I just knew. Even when I was going to school and they're sitting there going, you're not going to get a good job if you don't get good grades. I was the one sitting there going, you're a liar. Shut up.
The fact that you will sit there and self-analyze yourself to determine how happy you are out the score. Of 100 is already a mental failure. That's a failure. You should be busy. You shouldn't cross your mind. The fact you have time to sit there and go, how happy am I today? Oh, I'm only this much. Maybe I should be happier. That's already a mess up.
You only have to pull this off once. One time is all it takes. If you could just dedicate yourself to something for once in your fucking life, put the porn down, take out your hand and focus for once in your life, for one period, you could be rich forever.
I love when God or life or the universe or whatever you want to call it gives me a chance to be brave. I love when he gives me an opportunity. Here's your chance to be brave, Andrew. Here is your chance to show you are that guy. Here's your chance to have another story where everyone else would have failed, you would have succeeded. Here is your chance to win. I love that. The best mental model is God wants me to learn something here. And he's going to teach me that through suffering. He's going to make this difficult, and he's going to make me feel pain, and he's going to make this as hard as he decides it needs to be, so that I can sit here and learn things.
If I was depressed, it's impossible, but if I was depressed, my life would be, and the day-to-day activities would be exactly the same as if I was ecstatically happy. You wouldn't be able to see a difference. I'd be up at the same time. I'd be in the gym the same. I'd be doing the same shit. Those are my duties my duties to God. How I feel has nothing to do with it. If you were to go and look your father in the eye and said, you know what, I could have been a UFC champion. I could have been a multimillionaire. I could have been a race car driver. I could have been a fucking nuclear physicist. Could have done all these things, but I was busy on Pornhub. You think he's gonna be proud of you? Fuck no.
I think we're here to struggle and to learn. I don't think we're here to be happy. That's why when we keep going back to the happy argument, I've always found that kind of frustrating and annoying. When someone goes, oh, but I want to be happy. Why? Why? Why do you want to sit there and laugh like you were happy your entire childhood? That's your happy days. You're allowed to be happy as a kid. It's all over now, right? You're a man. You have responsibilities. I think we're here to do important things, and important things are going to be difficult, and they're going to be hard, and you're going to get frustrated. But that's what gives you purpose. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to endure pain. I think we're here to just see how hard we are to kill. I think that going through terrible things and living through them and coming out the other side is one of the most fantastic things about being human. It's almost like once you understand what life is really about, there's no emotion which isn't enjoyable. The only emotional state which can be seen as detrimental is feeling nothing at all. But if you're sitting at home and you're feeling truly heartbroken, at least you're feeling something, right? And I think that's the whole part of being human.
Do you love the people who have raised you? Do you love yourself? Do you have enough self-confidence and enough self-respect to want your last name to mean something? When people say the last name Tate, that means something. If you're gonna go up, if you're gonna join a competition, doesn't matter what it is, an arm wrestle, fucking bungee jumping, anything, and they said you're competing against Tate, the second you hear that name, you're nervous. I have made my name valuable. I've been instilled with this duty to perform because I understand if I don't, everybody I have ever loved is going to fade into obscurity, and I am going to fade into obscurity, lost into the passage of time. You must decide. Do you want to matter? Do you want your bloodline to matter?
Do you want your son to be raised in a family name that he is proud of? Or do you want to be a fucking nobody? If you want to be a nobody, fine. Go be a nobody. But don't lie to yourself. Don't sit here and say, I don't want to be a nobody, but I lack motivation. Because that's not true. If you don't want to be a nobody, you never lack motivation. You either want to be a somebody or you fucking don't. You have to decide. You can't sit here and fool yourself and fool God by lying and saying, I don't want to be a nobody and I want my last name to matter and I want to be rich and I want to live a perfect life and I want to be top G, but I struggle with motivation. Then you're a liar. Because I never in my life have ever struggled with motivation because I knew who I wanted to be and what I had to do to get there.
I believe that emotional energy is a lot like a bucket of water. You have all this emotional energy, right? You have a bucket of water. And then you have a bunch of different holes you can pour it in. So I believe if you wake up one day and you feel particularly depressed, you don't feel depressed, you just have a lot of emotional energy that day. Some days you don't have that much emotional energy and life's pretty calm. But some days you wake up and you have this big bucket of water. And the superpower is deciding which emotion you're going to put it in. Not to not feel the energy, but to decide which emotion you're going to put it in. And I think that's my superpower. I don't have the superpower of being able to stop myself feeling things. Yeah. I have the superpower of being able to choose how I use that energy and what I decide to feel. And then if you want to be hyper successful as a person, you have to be very careful to avoid the happy hole. Because happy is what everyone thinks they would choose. If you had this emotional energy and could choose any emotion, you'd choose happy. But if you choose happy, you don't get much done. If I had to choose how I wanted to feel all the time, I would choose proud. And proud means you have to work. Proud means you have to do things. You have to achieve things. If you want to be proud and be realistic, you have to do fantastic things. So my default favorite emotion is proud. That's how I'm happiest when I feel proud about anything.
As a man, it doesn't matter what you're born with, you can become what you want to be. You can become a superhero if you so choose. And you chose not to. All those nights you sat home, all those times you played video games, jerking off, all that shit you did, jerking off the Pornhub, accumulated in you not getting any replies to your DMs. You fucking deserve it. You deserve it. This is the world. And the world is not fair or nice. There is no light without dark. You will not appreciate your six-pack unless you didn't have one and you had to earn it. That's how the world works. So when I talk to these dudes like, oh, but it's, you know what, Tate, yeah, I agree, but you know, it's hard. It's hard. Of course it is. It's supposed to be. And if you're not cut out for it, then fuck off and live a normal existence and die. That's your decision. If you want to level up your character, then you need to get out here and do it. You're nothing but lucky. Bacteria could have stole your eyesight at the age of 3, and it didn't. You could have been in a car crash and lost both your parents. Never happened. You've been nothing but lucky. Blind luck has given you a favorable hand, and you've managed to fuck it up. I can wake up sad, I can ache, I can have a busy day, stressed, etc. I will complete the same tasks as if I woke up in a fantastic mood. I'll do the same things because how I feel has no bearing on the things I'm going to do with my day because I have duty to myself and to my bloodline. So a lot of you guys out here are acting like fools because you feel like acting like fools. And what I'm going to say to you is, because you think there's something wrong with you, you go, I lack motivation. You hear this one? I don't have the motivation to go to the gym. Well, here's the news flash. Neither did I. And I still did it. So now what are you going to say? Now you have no excuse, right? Oh, you're scared to get in the ring. So was I. Still did it. Scared to get in the cage. So was I still did it. Being a man isn't about not feeling things. It's about acting the way you're supposed to act, regardless of how you feel. This once again ties sad. Shut up. My boys around me, there is no weakness in my circle. You need to create your reality. So you got to keep this in mind. I'm tired of hearing guys messaging about how they feel. I don't feel motivated. I don't feel. Leave the feelings to the girls, right? That's what they do. We act. We're men of action. We get things done. So the world got built. All of it. All the men who built the fucking skyscrapers felt scared. They did it anyway. You need to become a man of action. Stop worrying about how you feel and start worrying about what you're supposed to be doing.
As a man, there is no easy life. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer as becoming a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody. The reason you lose is because you've been programmed to lose by all of your experiences throughout life. Winners are programmed, losers are programmed. I was programmed to be a winner in any scenario because I was raised in a very specific way. You were not. So we're going to start at the absolute beginning of why you've ended up a loser, because most of you dummies who never look in the mirror and say, how did I end up where I am? Why am I the person I am? Why do I believe the things I believe? You don't self-analyze. So you don't understand how your own mind works, which means you don't understand why you are where you are. Because before you make a move on the chessboard, you need to analyze your position. By analyzing the board, the smartest thing you can do is to try and take your strengths and play them off against your weaknesses. So if you're poor, you have hunger and motivation, what you have to do is fix the things you don't have. You need to get a good network of people you can trust who have a lot of money. You need to find a teacher who's prepared to teach you how money really works. That's the first thing. The second thing, and your biggest problem to fix, is your monumental laziness. The poor understand what it's like to be taken advantage of, and the poor understand what happens when you have no money and no food. You don't. You're not poor. You have food in your fridge. Most of you are not actively building a future. You're not actively trying to build the dream life that you want to have. And then you expect it to just appear. Do you know why? Because when you were born in the middle, your parents put food in the fridge. It just appeared. The heating was just on because it was cold outside. We knew. You never had that problem. That's why people at the bottom, we understand intricately. We understand this viscerally. We understand that nothing is going to come to us unless we go out there and get it ourselves. And once you have that, you have endless motivation for art. You have to train a fight. And I want you to actually take a few seconds and ask yourself that question and answer it. Bravery is a muscle like every other one, and it must be flexed and used to grow. Bravery is extremely important, and Bitcoin's a super easy answer. What's the worst that can happen? You lose your money? Do you think people like us were afraid to buy crypto once we worked at $800? Do you think we were afraid to buy it because we might lose money? Do you not understand? People like us, fuck, that's how we end up here. Oh, you're lacking hunger, you're scared to be brave, you're lazy. I don't want to put my $6,000 into Bitcoin, I might lose it. Because you lack bravery. So you've done nothing brave that you can mention instantly off the top of your head. Then what you need to do is something brave quickly. I'm not quitting. That's called handing the prize to somebody else. There are a certain number of prizes in the universe. There are stars. There's prizes. So the people at the bottom have something that you don't have. It's hunger. You need to now, and this is the actionable, guys. You need to cultivate a lifestyle which is going to endlessly give you fire inside of your heart so that you never struggle with motivation ever again. You need to cultivate that with your social circle. So you need to be around motivated, hungry men. You need to cultivate it with the decisions you make.
Ancestors any effort. You know, for 5,000 years, people were dodging saber-toothed tigers and catching the plague and running from Genghis Khan. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them a thing because I want to play video games. These people are losers. I wake up every day with something to prove. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm in fantastic shape, 4 times world champion. Fighting the matrix out here by myself, more. I will have to be braver. I must try harder. All I do is prove myself. So when I hear people go, I don't have nothing to prove, then you're a loser. Peasants have never felt like they needed to prove anything, but kings felt like they needed to go and conquer land. Isn't that it's coincidental that the king, who already had it all, felt like he needed to go to some far-flung land and conquer it and take it and prove he's the king. But the peasants, oh, I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You're a loser then. You're a dummy. I absolutely and utterly, completely have everything to prove to everybody all of the time. That's who I am. I will prove anything to anybody. If I sit and say X, I will prove it. And I don't want a woman to ever go through anything bad in her life. I think a man should go through it for her and protect her, because I think that's how she's her best self as a woman. But I think to be your best self as a man is the absolute opposite. And when someone emails me and says, this has happened to me, I'm like, good. No, what do you mean good? It's terrible.
how else are you going to become important? How else are you going to find endless fire to get up and struggle in the face of the competition that's out here in the world? How else are you're going to do all that with a nice, cushy life? If any man's honest with himself, think about the biggest transformative stages in your life. Think about the times you got the most work done. It was a bad part of your life. You were heartbroken, or, you lost a house, or broke, or whatever. That's when you did shit. When everything was fine, the mortgage is paid, dinner's on time, it's kind of doop-de-doop-de-doo, little by little, do a little bit of work, do a little bit of relax. But the big events come from trauma. This is it. So it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code to climb the mountain. So when I get a message from whoever and he goes, my wife left me, I'm devastated. I say, I understand. I completely understand.